The Outlaws of the MRA are in one of the tightest points races in history for the 2023 championship. Will the Southern Heat knock this four-way battle down to a two- or three-way fight? Find out next. Welcome to the Heat of the South, Gore Springs, Mississippi, and one of the favorite stops of the MRA Tour DT's Dirt Drags, where today we bring you the Outlaw Pro Stock division of this sport, a blend of Pro Stock and modified show quality trucks, making big-time horsepower with a little puff of nitrous straight out of the bottle. And the last time we saw these bottle-fed machines was down in the state of Florida in the spring, but since then, there have been 2 points events staged, and the last win went to Casey Lawyer in the 36 Chevy Strategic Attack out of Illinois. That was out in the high plains of Burwell, Nebraska. This week we're on the hard-bottom southern clay, and looking at the points coming into today's action, you can see just how competitive this class has been. This championship is still anybody's ballgame, and we're only showing you the top 5 here. There are some guys who could make a big mess of this top 5 sitting just outside of it in the 6th and 7th positions, including the gentleman who won the last time out, that being Casey Lawyer in Strategic Attack, that we'll see in just a little bit. Right now, we're going to take a look at a brand new vehicle that ran a little bit earlier, or tried to make a run, 2000 Chevy S10 of Chris Moses out of Davenport, Iowa. And as you can see by the name emblazoned on the side, big John Conkle horsepower in the front of this beautiful blue bow tie machine. And unfortunately, this would not be his night in the class as he went to make his debut run with this awesome machine. They were struggling to make weight actually at registration. They did get that figured out, but now they've got some tuning to get figured out. I'm sure they will. This looks like an awesome piece that I cannot wait to see come back for the 2024 season once they have everything set right. But you could hear him zing the motor and then just go nowhere. He rolls to a stop very slowly and unfortunately didn't even cross the beams. Rolls just short. It sounds like he has a transmission issue, or maybe he twisted something in the drivetrain. You could hear the engine was still running, sounded nice and crisp, so no problems making horsepower. The problem is right now that there's either too much horsepower for the drivetrain or transmission, or something is not geometrically sound in that machine. However, don't count them out just yet, as they'll have a shot to come back in 2024. They're done for tonight. However, as we bring our first pairing to the line, a pair of bright orange pickup trucks and 2 guys who are sitting in that top 5 right now. Self-inflicted Wayne Bonneker out of House Springs, Missouri, 814 cubic inch Sonny's built power plant, tuned by John Conkle and Wayne Bonneker himself. Massive engine you see sitting out on the front of that thing. He's side by side with Jesse Brown and Loose Cannon, who moved up in horsepower since last year. He used to run a 715 cubic inch big block Chevrolet, now runs an 815 cubic inch big block Chevrolet with 1 kit of nitrous. He and Rocky Brown co-owning that beautiful Chevy S10, the Volunteer and the Show Me State pickup, ready to go. First pairing of the first session. We saw Bonneker lurch on the line. However, he managed to not red light. A 2.63 with an 8 and a 2.66 with an O. Advantage Bonneker. A good start, and keep in mind the standing record in this class for 200 feet is 2.46, set down in Cobbtown, Georgia 11 years ago. So it's high time that that record got knocked down. You see right there coming into stage, Bonneker almost red lighted that thing, but he managed to get off the power. But the Rooster Tails told the tale as he got a big surge of power as he was coming up to the line, and then right there giving us a thrill. He's been giving us a lot of thrills lately, but fortunately that machine has stayed upright, as he definitely has a heavy right foot, and the throttle in this sport is certainly your friend. One more look at it from the top end of the track. You can see how far to his left he went, and then the rear end stepped out on him a little bit. Not a bad run for either one of those guys. Brown going to go back and retune, I can guarantee you that right now. Up next, another member of the Bonneker family. This is Chris Bonneker, also out of House Springs, Missouri. This is Havoc. 705 cubic inch iron block Chevrolet with a nitrous setup by Induction Solutions. Engine originally built by John Conkle, tuned by Bullet Racing Engines, and he's going to line up side by side with the only blower machine right now in the class, and I do know we'll be seeing a few more of these guys going into 2024 with the blower motor setup. This one's Clayton Olcott out of Burwell, Nebraska. In fact, that was the last stop on the tour. Now brings in this S10 called Relentless, 2000 Chevy with a 572 cubic inch Chevrolet engine with a 1471 high helix blower on top. Solid run. He gets a little bit of slide there at the end. 310 for Bonneker, a 257 with a 5 for Olcott. So he will now go into the number one spot. We are only partway through session one. We have a lot more to go as we have a whole other half of our field and a whole second session to get through here in Gore Springs, Mississippi, as we're running down in the Southern Heat. Stay with us. We're going to put a quick groom on the track and be back as these guys continue to shoot at that 11-year-old record.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army, the place to get your motorsports fix.
It's always nice when the sun sets out here in Gore Springs. Beautiful part of the country, but man, is it hot out here in the summer and very humid. There's a tendency for fog to roll in, and that can always make things interesting. A very heavy air down here. Jamie Suter now, the man in black out of Woodlawn, Tennessee, in this beautiful 65 Chevrolet pickup truck. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. He lines up with the newcomer to this, the George Farms Jeep. We saw this thing debut down in Panama City, Florida. This machine out of Franklin, Georgia. And if you know the town of Franklin, Georgia, if you know mud racing, you may remember the old Deer Creek Motorsports Park where many, many records were set in the sport of mud racing. Well, this is the family responsible for Deer Creek Motorsports Park, now George Farms. So it's great to see that they've gotten back into this sport so heavily and in a big way. They have, 4 or 5 cars now that they field. Trucks, I should say, with that big black Jeep next to them, the 700-plus cubic inch John Conkle power plant, and that one, and of course the big Rare and Morrison horsepower of Jamie Suter, who appears to be chugging some death smoke right now. That is not a good sign, as he is blowing all kinds of fog there on the starting line. That could actually cause a problem with the staging sensors. If he's not careful, he could red light just by way of wrapping his throttle. We'll see right now as he goes to stage up alongside the George Farms Jeep, both of them going after Clayton Olcott right now. Chasing a 257, man. He was moving quick. Suter, 255 with an 8. George, not too bad at a 263 with a 4. Watch again. Suter's smoke actually caused our camera to run out of focus, but making some horsepower as he lights the candles. Perfect example of it. I love the look of that thing with both of those exhausts blowing flames. We bring out maybe the most beautiful pair of machines on hand this weekend. There's Casey Lawyer out of Mount Carroll, Illinois. in a 1936 Chevrolet Strategic Attack. Lines up with the 712 cubic inch VZ big block Chevy power plant. Also seeing his wife Allison drive this machine, and she's made some good passes. She should be making some passes here this weekend. He lines up alongside similar looking but very different 36 Ford pickup truck built by Duke Bohannon. This is Jeremy Hauser out of Monticello, Florida, in the Wicked Fabrications built Ragged Edge 611 cubic inch John Conkle power plant. The 1,000 horsepower induction solutions nitrous setup on top. Should be a pretty even matchup, even with the cubic inch differential in these two vehicles. It's all in how you tune the horsepower you have to the track, and both of these guys are very capable. Hauser had a great start to this year. Casey Lawyer is just coming off a victory. Lawyer working for a living in the shutdown. Look at the time. 2:51 and a 2:55 with a 2. So that will be 1 and 2. How fitting that the pair of white 36 pickups just overtook the rest of the fleet. Watch it again. Look at Hauser standing on the wheelie bar, still getting the horsepower to the ground. And look at Lawyer spitting material and showering down the video crew with dirt. Again, working for a living there in the shutdown area, and it's a good thing that Hauser did not have the run that Lawyer just did. Even though Lawyer was faster, when he steps out there, he's got a little margin for error. Hauser has a rail off to his right, although he got a little wild as well. He was up against the rail on the left-hand side, so both of those guys, again, laying down a shot. What a run for the 236 pickups. Now, another beautiful piece of equipment. Todd Hackney in Fireball out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 69 International Scout. Another VZ power plant in that one. He lines up side by side with Greg Booker out of Steelville, Missouri. It's his property where the MRA finals will be held again this year. He and Hackney now lining up the final pairing in this session 1 of the OPS class. Hackney across the track. That beautiful red machine debuted in 2021, and they've been slowly working the bugs out of it, but it runs beautifully. He should lay down an awesome pass here. He is capable of knocking out the top in this class, which come out of the modified division. His vehicle is technically a pro stocker, but here in the Outlaw Pro Stocks, kind of anything goes. Great pair of runs, but they are not going to outrun Casey Lawyer or Jeremy Hauser. Booker runs a 2.56 on that pass. Advantage goes the way of the Missouri machine. There you see the top 5 as of right now. Casey Lawyer with that 2.51. Then a pair of 2.55s, Jeremy Hauser and Jamie Suter. Greg Booker runs a 2.56 to put him in 4th place, and Clayton Olcott with that big blower motor Hemi 2.57 with a 5 to round out the top 5 in the field. So we are going to re-rack these vehicles. We're going to invert the order. Hackney and Booker will be right back on the line. We're going to put a groom on the track, and we will be back to Mississippi.
The world-famous C60 Cyclops. The infamous Dodge Carryall, unnamed and untamed. Get yourself a one-of-a-kind toy of a Mudbogger Twin Monster truck at freedomracingmt.com.
Back in Gore Springs, Mississippi at DT's Dirt Drags, getting ready now for Session 2 of our Outlaw Pro Stock Division. Lining up, of course, Greg Booker out of Steelville, Missouri, and there you see Todd Hackney in Fireball. Of course, Todd running the 700 cubic inch VZ big block Chevrolet. They debuted that truck in 2021. Been still working out a few bugs in it, but it has had a great season so far, and I think they've got it just about where they want it. Well, Hackney gets left at the line with problems. A 2.57 with a 3 for Greg Booker. So he looked awesome there. Not where he wants to be exactly, as he won't go to the number 1 spot, but nothing to be ashamed of right now. Hackney trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. In fact, we're getting word he may back up and take another shot at it because he did not actually trip the 60-foot, so he will not technically be DQ'd for that run right there or get a DNF, but he'll give it another shot. Let's see what he's got. Nice straight pass. It looked like a little pedal in the middle. They hurt him at 274 with a 6. Not going to go to the number 1 spot, but as I always say, nothing to be ashamed of there. If you watch it again, looked like a pretty straight run. Maybe a little wheel slip off the starting line, but you can see him right there, just a little pedal in the middle. Not a big one, but he had to drop the front end just a little bit. Started to come off to the left. It's very hard to detect these things at speed from the sidelines, exactly how much they move around in the lanes. Right now, though, we go back to the line with the Para 36 pickup truck Strategic Attack out of Illinois, that being Casey Lawyer, and he will stage alongside Jeremy Hauser out of Monticello, Florida, in the 36 Ford Ragged Edge. 611 cubic inch John Conkle power plant, alongside the 712 cubic inch VZ big block Chevrolet inside of Strategic Attack. And you hear those names a lot, John Conkle and VZ, that being Van Zyachek out of West Virginia. Probably the two most prominent engine builders in this sport, especially anytime you have a league or a class with the word stock in the name. Boy, Hauser put a ton of horsepower into the track, and it was just too much. I think he stood it on the rear end of 332, but heads up driving at 254 with a 4 for Casey Lawyer. It's not going to be enough to get him over his own time, and he's going to have to hope that 251 from session 1 holds up. But you can see Hauser, again, heads up driving, really thinking his way through that one. That could have been bad. Everything happened so quickly, and you'll see the headers start glowing immediately. He's running a ton of fuel through that engine, really trying to build horsepower, and it looks like it really stuck. The way he had the suspension tuned, the wheelie bar, and the engine, it worked, but it was too much for the starting line. It picked up the front end, it took a left on him, but he let out of it. He didn't overdrive the track, didn't take a risk on getting into the guardrail, saved the truck. He can come back another day. Now, Woodlawn, Tennessee's Jamie Suter in the 65 Chevrolet, staging alongside the George Farms Jeep, fairly new George Farms Jeep. Another John Conkle power plant in that one, alongside the 872 cubic inch Rare and Morrison power plant and Jamie Suter's Chevy pickup with a SpeedTech 4-stage nitrous system, a Speedwire nitrous controller, and a 2-speed Lenco transmission. See what these guys have for each other here in session 2. Great run for George that time around. Look at that, Suter. A 251 with a 4 to take the number 1 spot. The black Chevy bettering the time of Casey Lawyer, but look at all the smoke out of the right-hand side of the engine off the starting line and getting an inconsistent flame as well. That's an indication that something is going away on the right side of that power plant, a very expensive power plant at that. Hopefully nothing that's going to put him out of competition for the weekend, because remember, he also runs in the modified class, so change the tune on it and come back tomorrow. Right now, though, we're going to see if anybody can chase down that 11-year-old 200-foot record of Chad Wren. Stay with us, more to come from here in Gore Springs.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter.
Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo.
Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
Getting ready to wind things down here at DT's Dirt Drags in Gore Springs, Mississippi, as we get ready to finish up Session 2 with the MRA 2023 Championship Series. Chris Bonacker back on the line now out of House Springs, Missouri. Again, 705 cubic inch big block Chevrolet. Induction Solutions nitrous setup on that thing, and Bullet Racing engine originally built by John Conkle, and then Clayton Olcott in Relentless out of Nebraska. He's been getting a ton of help from Greg Monsmith out of the open class. See what he has here. Both those guys were having an interesting time there. Olcott runs a 2.60. Bonacker had to check up as he got out of shape as well, similar to what we saw happen to Jeremy Hauser. This time, though, he went off to the right, put the horsepower down. He may need to do some tuning on the rear suspension, as it looked like that thing was really torquing to the left, and when you unload one tire, it'll have a tendency to dig on one side. It'll carry it pretty much wherever it wants to, depending on which tire bites and which tire lets go, and in this case, it took him off to the right. Driving smart, though, name of the game. You stay in that too long, you put it up against the rail, or you hook a corner, it'll roll you over in a hurry. Right now, our final pairing of the evening was our first pairing of the evening, Jesse Brown and Wayne Bonacker. But Brown was fighting in that left lane. It's definitely going away, but look at those two runs. Bonacker, a 2:48 with an 8. The last shot of the evening was the fastest shot of the evening. Bonacker runs in the number 1 spot, and I do believe Jesse Brown just cemented himself in 3rd position, so that should help their points hopes out as they close in on the final event of the season. I have a feeling it's going to be these two guys at each other's throats when we close things out in Steelville, Missouri, but Jesse Brown definitely had to work for a living in the cab there, fighting it back to the middle of the track, but there you see how close these guys ran tonight. And again, this is just in the top 5. This was like this all the way through this class. 2:48 for Bonacker, then a 2:51 with a 4, a 2:51 with a 6, and a 2:51 with a 7, followed by a 2:55. So that's Jamie Suter, Jesse Brown, Casey Lawyer, and Jeremy Hauser rounding out the top 5. Now a look at the season points. Wayne Bonacker continuing his climb to the number 1 spot. And remember, they throw out your worst scores at the end of the year, so mathematically it's not sealed yet. Obviously 10 points is not enough to say you took the win. It's still anybody's ball game in the top 5 in this Outlaw Pro Stock division. It's been an awesome night of racing so far. We still have the mods in the open class coming at you next time. Don't miss that one. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.